Minutes until showtime. One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, sports fans. This is Dave Griffin. You're listening to Locks of the Week Radio.
Coast to coast, internet sports talk. Locks of the Week.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting. Oh! Let him play.
Yeah, everybody have a show today. We had snow today, show today, show tomorrow.
I don't know if you want that on your credit card bill. You know, saying the WC network on it. I mean, like,
Your dad could look at it and be like, Dave, you have something to tell me?
that's the story that they still.
It's unbelievable.
You have your LeBron in the play. It's like, do you really care about the James Jones at the end of the bench and the potatoes?
Maybe the board, the MikeFrancisco.com, was just ahead of its time.
Pioneers.
Exactly, yeah.
Pioneers, if you will. Yeah.
We listen to this guy sit at a desk and picking his teeth every day. All the dumb stuff he does. But it's not like we're changing the dial. We like
Nope.
Mike. You know, we hate Mike. We love Mike. All that back and forth.
Bingo.
Unbelievable.
San Antonio Spurs, Dave. What do they say about us?
They're boring. They're
They're boring.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for this special MLB Postseason show. Live from Santa Monica tonight, through the courtesy of blogtalkradio.com and YouTube over the Dave in the City channel, ditcal/userstuff.ditcal for that. Good to have you with us here on a beautiful Wednesday night. The skies cooling, the air also cooling, and baseball heating up. And right now we're following the Giants against the Pittsburgh Pirates into the 6th inning. The Giants add a run to a grand slam that Brandon Crawford hit earlier in the game, and they now lead 5-0. Edinson Volquez looking very shaky in the middle innings, and he didn't have enough. He had to get pulled about an inning ago, and they're into the bullpen now in Pittsburgh. And that was the best starter they had. It seemed to me that it was going to be a tough hoe. I mean, it was going to be a tough road to hoe for the Pirates, but the game's not over yet. They have a great bullpen. We'll see what happens the rest of the game, so we'll keep tracking that for you as well. But obviously, the story right now in baseball is the opening game in the Royals and the A's. The A's are at Kauffman Stadium to play the Kansas City Royals in what was just a thriller from beginning to end. It went 13 innings. I think it went 13 innings. It may have gone 12 innings. But in the latter innings, the game winner by South, who was not hitting at all during most of the game, but the hit that counted was the one at the end, and it sent the Royals into the division series. What a great win for a team that had been waiting for a postseason for 29 years. I mean, to put it in perspective, I was 3 years old. I probably didn't even know what a baseball was in those days. So it really has been great. Seeing the Royals win, just a thriller. We have more to talk about about this game. Plus, we'll preview all the upcoming division series, which start tomorrow. And the Giants, so far, look like they're going to be the team representing, but we don't know. We'll find out all that with our first guest of the evening. And he comes to us right from the streets of Philadelphia. Ari in Philadelphia. He's now joining us on the program. And I couldn't think of a better guy to have for this spot. I mean, he's been following the league very closely all year long. A big fan of the stats, advanced stats to be exact. Good to have him aboard. Let's introduce him. All right. Well, this is great to have you here. Timely spot. How's it going tonight?
Great to be here, Dave. That is quite the introduction. I'm very humbled by that.
Thank you. And I mean it too. This is going to be fun. This postseason, I mean, when the matchups were announced, it really looked like it was going to have a lot of juice. And last night really delivered. Just a thrill all the way through. I mean, I know people are saying like the one-game playoff is kind of bogus, but this was a great game. I mean, let's talk a little bit about last night's game between the Royals against the A's. I mean, it was just so much thrill, so much palpable juice. What was it like watching that game last night? How'd you feel going through all that? I mean, what did you enjoy most?
It was amazing. I mean, I can see rationally the arguments about the one-game playoff. It's not fair. It really is not fair, and it's less and less the distance between the two teams to have it decided by one game. But despite the fact that it's not fair, tons of juice. It's basically Game 7 right off the bat.
Yeah. So
that's just amazing. And the game last night, twist and forth, and basically the way I kind of looked at the game last night was the game was a lot like the Oakland season. They started the game, dominating. They're up 7-3, and then it's the middle of the game, like the middle of the season, and then it all falls apart, and they end up losing. Obviously in the 12th inning, and it was just amazing back and forth and lead changes and really, really good stuff. Weird managing on the Royals side.
Oh yeah.
Kind of people are talking about it, but he got away with a lot of weird stuff.
He did.
But and we'll see going forward how that goes with the Angels. But it was just an amazing game. This game, I missed the last half hour of it because before I had to get on your show, I was tasked with putting my kids to bed.
Oh, so, I got you. Okay.
I haven't seen the last half hour, but I did see the Grand Slam. So I'm trying to catch up here as we speak. But just getting warmed up here in the postseason.
Oh, we really are. I mean, this is just the beginning of what could be a very thrilling October. Just a quick comment about the pitching match tonight in the Giants Pirates game. I just felt like the whole time this was going to be the Giants game to win. I mean, the matchup, I know that Edinson Volk has had a great season. He had low 3, like 3.0 something ERA. But to me, it just seemed like who was the more seasoned pitcher? I mean, granted, he's not that young, he's not that old, but who was the guy that to me had the stuff? And I always thought that Madison Bumgarner had the stuff, and especially tonight, he just razor sharp. And so he's doing great so far. We'll see if that holds. But I mean, you've seen Edinson Volquez over the years. I mean, he would end up blowing up in a big way, more often than not during the game. So it was tough for me to trust him in that matchup, especially in a winner-take-all game. So did you feel like this matchup, starting pitching matchup, favored the Giants from the get-go?
I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's a difference, but you got to go with the track record. Edinson Volquez had an amazing August and September. I think his ERA in September was in the ones, maybe under one. All of the Pirates starting pitching has been amazing for the last month or two, but that's a month or two. A year ago, Edinson Volquez was being released, I think, by the Padres. He was not good in April and May this year. He barely made the team out of spring training. And Bumgarner's been doing it since whatever it is, 2010. He's only 25, and he's, I think, pitched in 7 postseason games already. So, yeah, I definitely agree. They had the advantage here. But that's kind of how it works out. I mean,
right.
It's not like the Pirates. The Pirates were in the race until the last day. They couldn't line up their pitching the way they wanted to. So they had whoever was lined up.
That's interesting because I think they were talking about this on the ESPN telecast too, and I was thinking this last week. The fact that they were still in that division, the statistical odds of them actually getting the division going into the final weekend, even though mathematically they were in it. I mean, that was a tough spot. I mean, I don't even know how you would play that, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I think they were in it until the season
last day.
Sunday. I think they were in it until I think they were until Saturday. Yeah. So or maybe Sunday, right?
It was Sunday. They had that game. It was interesting because they had Garrett Cole against Johnny Cueto. I was watching this one, and Cueto gets his own base hit to go ahead, and then the Reds added some runs, and at that point they were eliminated. But if they'd won, the Cardinals would have been fine. They would have had to throw Wainwright out there just to retain. So I guess it did come pretty close, but that's just a tough break for the Pirates because of the fact that it was still gettable. So they were that close. I mean, if they'd won, it could have been very interesting, but it just didn't work out. So
yeah, I mean the way the system is, it's really important to win your division if you can.
Yeah.
Because of what we talked about at the top with the 1-game playoff. It's like, it's a crapshoot. One game in baseball. The best baseball teams in history lose 50 games a year, so 60 games a year. So, one baseball game, anybody can win it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, you never know. I mean, we certainly see things playing out as what we might expect, but you could have had Madison Bumgarner just not have a good night, and then that would have opened the door for the Pirates. So that definitely lends into
there's a famous guy that says a famous thing. You can't predict baseball.
No, you can't.
We've heard that over and over again. Read it over and over again.
Absolutely.
But you can't. I mean, who thought last night was going to go 12 innings and end 9-8?
Right.
Kansas City can't score. Oakland couldn't score for 2 months, and it's 9-8.
Incredible.
So
it's very true. I mean, that it was definitely it's going to be like a 2-0 game, 2-1, 3-2, 9-8. So
you got John Lester, right?
Yeah.
And who thought a team with John Lester pitching in the up 4 runs is going to lose?
It's really funny how things can play out, and that's the beauty of October, though. I mean, it can be frustrating too because you play 162 games of great baseball, but then it can all be undone with one bad moment. But still, that's part of the charm of it. At the same time, people have been on both ends of it, so it's really interesting. So let's start with these previews. We have one matchup to be decided, but the others are ready to go, and our division series coverage begins tomorrow. We're not doing the games. I mean, but the division series begins tomorrow. Wouldn't that be great if we did play-by-play these games? Get you a color. And
we can't do play-by-play. Nasty letters.
We'll get a letter for that. All right. So tomorrow we start with the Orioles against the Tigers and the Orioles, and this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, but I don't think maybe won't have exactly the same buzz as the Royals because it's their first postseason in 30 years, or maybe the Dodgers and the Cardinals because they're just just glamour teams. I mean, big franchises, big history. Orioles still and Tigers are pretty historic franchises, but I wonder if they have the same cachet. Nonetheless, two pretty good teams, and you're looking at, and the Orioles just had a nice season. I mean, just an incredible season. We didn't, I don't really know what to say about their pitching though, but the same can be said about the Tigers. Scherzer is pretty solid, and Price, obviously, we know his resume. Verlander came off a cliff though. So that rotation is kind of dicey right now. Porcello is probably going to be in the mix. This is interesting. Let's get your first thoughts about Tigers against the Orioles.
Yeah, well, the Tigers bullpen has been a mess for,
yes.
What is it, 3 years now,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Papa Grande and, all that, for years and years, this has been their problem, and they've never been able to fix it. Their lineup is monstrous. They've got Miggy, obviously, Victor Martinez, and JD Martinez in the middle of that lineup. They're going to mash. The rotation, you got Scherzer and Price, who both won Cy Youngs recently. Verlander, didn't we read the other day he's going to be in the bullpen this series?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is going to be in the, it's been that bad. I mean, his ERA is the worst ERA probably of his career. I mean, he looked awful this season.
But Verlander in a short appearance in like one inning, it's like when Verlander was whatever year that was in the All-Star game when he pitched the one inning and he came out throwing like 101.
Nice.
In one inning, a guy like Verlander can just blow people away. So, and that's exactly what they need out of that bullpen. And they've got Porcello and who's that other starter on their rotation?
Lobstein.
Is that
the guy?
Yeah, no, that's not who I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
He's another one, but yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he's and I'm gonna feel stupid when I finally look it up after the show. But anyway, yeah, their rotation, Scherzer and Price anyway look really good. The Baltimore rotation is kind of shaky. The Baltimore bullpen though is very deep, and basically a game against Baltimore, if they're ahead in the sixth inning, you're gonna have trouble. So these could be very short games for the Tigers to try to get ahead against the Orioles, against the starting pitching before you get into the bullpen. Usually you try to knock the starter out and get into the bullpen. I think for the Orioles, it's the other way around. If they can get their starters through 5 2/3, I think with a lead, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of the 90s where you'd have games like that often. By the way, the guy in Detroit, what do you think of Anibal Sanchez?
That's the one.
Is that the guy? Yes. Yeah,
yes.
He could spot start. It's an interesting thought, or he'd be good out of the bullpen too. I mean, that's a definite guy to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name I was thinking of. And Porcello has been good. Verlander has been their fifth best pitcher, which is crazy. But I don't know. Every year people think they're going to the series, and most years they don't. But I don't know. Their lineup looks stacked as usual.
Yep.
And the Orioles had a really good season. They won a lot of games. They have an excellent bullpen. But, well, I guess for both these, I was going to say the division was shaky, but the Tigers division wasn't so great either. I mean, the AL East this year, the Rays and the Yankees, who finished in second place and weren't that good. And, in the Central, the Indians and the White Sox, I don't know. It seems like, I don't know, maybe it's a little inflated considering who the competition was that they played a lot of these games in. But you could say that about either team, I guess. In this series.
I'd say so as well. It's actually, I think what we have here is two teams that are pretty matched evenly. Both have as you mentioned, both have really good offenses. I was wondering about it with Chris Davis. He wasn't even having that good of a season, but he got suspended for amphetamine use on the 12th of September. Suspended 25 games. I'm assuming that goes into the postseason. And it didn't seem like they cared.
He is eligible. He's eligible. He's going to miss 7, I think, postseason games.
Okay.
So if he's eligible in the ALCS if they make it, and not right away.
Okay.
So, and they have to use a roster spot for him. If they make it to the ALCS and they want him to play in Game 4, they have to have an empty roster spot where he's taken up a roster spot but can't play in the first 3 games.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
If they want him available, but I mean, he was hitting under 200, I think.
Yep.
Which is not great. You know, he's a power threat, but did not have a good year this year. But they lost him, they lost Machado, they lost Matt Wieters, and they just keep trucking.
Yep. I don't think anything really affects them. I mean, you still have Adam Jones, they have Nelson Cruz, J.J. Hardy. That's a good outfield. You know, one of the better hitting outfields, I think, in baseball. Honestly, that's a great outfield. All right, so
very deep.
Absolutely. I mean, we often can take that for granted in as far as hitting lineups, like the outfield. Sometimes it ends up being a weak league, like it was for the Yankees a couple years ago. But here it's terrific. Similar idea with the Tigers, although Hunter's seen better days. But we'll see. So let me just get you a quick word on this. Who do you favor in this exact number of games? But which team are you, if you gun to your head, like which team are you leaning towards winning this series?
I would probably pick the Tigers. I think, I think the 2 big starting pitchers and the 3 big hitters are probably going to put them over. That's just my pick. Obviously, you can't predict. You know, everyone says, but if I was picking one, that's who I'd pick.
Great. All right. This is Ari in Philadelphia joining us for our Division Series previews tonight on the program. And our next matchup is the surging Royals, who must have celebrated so hard last night after that thrilling, dramatic win against the front-running LA Angels of Anaheim, playing and very well rested. We also hear that Josh Hamilton should be good for the series. He's been hurt all the time, but apparently he's going to be healthy enough to play. That's a great lineup they've got there. Unlike the Royals, they have serious power, and it's led by Mike Trout, who is one of the most exciting guys to watch at the plate. Really good, and he can really bring it on the field too. Some web gems to be sure. Calhoun also takes out right. It's a great lineup, and their bullpen is better than it was when the year started. Houston Street, they traded for him from the Padres. A great trade, really, because they needed it. Ferrari was terrible, really terrible. So that was much needed. So from that point on, they've really been on a roll. They overtook the division when about at the same time that the A's made that trade for Lester from giving up Cespedes, and suddenly the Angels were really looking pretty. And if I'm remembering, do they have the home for the entire playoffs, or is it the 2 seed? I think it's the entire playoffs. Am I right?
They have the entire playoffs, including the World Series, because the AL won the All-Star game. So they have it all the way through.
That's fantastic.
They won. I think it was 98 games, which is, I mean, they are stacked. Their starting pitching looks a little shaky, especially since they lost Garrett Richards to an injury.
Yep.
But so they're on the pitching side is kind of shaky, but that lineup. I mean, is there anyone in that lineup that doesn't have like 15 home runs this year?
I know.
It's top to bottom. It's a stacked lineup, and they just roll. They just keep winning. They've been winning like that since July, and Trout is Trout. Postseason. You can't imagine, but you never know. I mean, you don't know how the pressure affects guys, but he doesn't seem like like a guy that's going to be affected.
Nah, I mean, he seems like he seems to be taking in the exposure and the media attention very nicely. I think he's taking it with aplomb, to be honest. So what we have here is a team like the Royals who face long odds. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, we had a good time watching them bunt like 100 times a game, but these guys against the Angels is going to be a tough out. I mean, how would the Royals go about beating a team with this much talent?
The Royals, to me, seems like the Royals are, what I know about them is their speed and defense.
Mm-hmm.
Their outfield defensively is incredible. They have all these guys that are stealing all these bases. They don't have power guys. They've got Eric Hosmer, who should be a power guy, but couldn't put it together this year. And then I think he was hurt in August, and now he's back. They've got Alex Gordon, who is their best hitter this year, but would he be the fourth best hitter on the Angels, the fifth best hitter on the Angels? Who's amazing. He's amazing defensively as well, out in left field, but their offense is small. It's a lot of running and a lot of bunting, which, stat guys like me scratch our heads when the manager does that. But because, it reduces the probability of scoring to advance the base and give up an out. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just weird managing. Actually, one of the guys wrote an article today about,
uh-oh. We're losing Ari.
And you have to take into account. Yeah. No, you got me?
Yeah, I think I got you back. We kind of lost you there for a second.
You still hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. So, yeah, I mean, some of these bunting situations were interesting last night. But anyway, I don't want to go into the craziness with the bunting. But yeah, their offense is kind of small, kind of manufacturing runs, and the Angels are just going to beat you up.
For sure.
I don't know a heck of a lot about who's in the Royals rotation, to tell you the truth.
Oh, I can give you that data. I have the depth chart on me. First, we saw Shields last night. The other guys are Justin Vargas.
Shields, right?
Yeah, and that kid Ventura, who just got shelled last night, he's one of the starters. And after that, it's probably, I don't know who would be after that. It's either going to be Guthrie or Duffy or somebody else. I wouldn't know. In other words, it's a lot of guys that are good, not great. I'm not really sure what they're going to do to hold down this lineup.
Yeah, and they're another team like the Orioles with the three guns in the back of the bullpen. Three guys all thrown in the high 90s, blowing people away. I think closers, these are stats I hear in the middle of the game. I think I remember correctly, their closer didn't give up a home run all year.
Wow, pretty good.
So
pretty good.
Their bullpen, at least the three guys at the back end of it, is quite good. The starting rotation is James Shields, who is, despite his nickname, has an ERA in the upper fours in the postseason. And then a bunch of guys who, I don't really know. But, the Angels rotation isn't so hot either.
Right,
so,
fair point.
I'm expecting probably a lot of offense in this series.
I think that's a good point. We look at this and put all together. I mean, we could see more 98 games in this kind of a series. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. That one starts tomorrow from beautiful, beautiful Orange County, home of many strip malls and freeways. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Next,
tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern.
9:30 Eastern. No, pull up a chair for that one.
They actually made decisions upon who was going to play. The schedule actually said if it's Kansas City, it starts at 9:30, and if it's Oakland, it starts at 10.
I gotcha.
So it's 9:30.
Good deal.
And the Orioles and Tigers, I think, is 6 Eastern.
Oh yeah, that's right, 6 Eastern. Right. That's a nice start. Yeah. Everybody can get plugged into that one.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. East Coast in on it. Okay, so now to the NL series of the division series. And the number one team in the NL, the Washington Nationals, very, very, very stacked. I mean, you're talking about a big team, and they have had a big record. And people have been predicting this for a couple years. I mean, people had the Nationals as favorites to win the World Series, and it looks like this is being realized in the regular season. So they've had a huge year, and you can't really go wrong with this rotation. Steven Strasburg, Jordan Zimmerman, Doug Fister, and then Gio Gonzalez. I mean, that's amazing. That's a pretty good road. That's a pretty good. Not saying.
And Tanner O'Rourke, who has been really good this year, is probably not going to start for them.
Wow.
And he's been really good.
Wow.
And Gio Gonzalez actually hasn't been that great until very recently, but he's got the track record.
Right.
And Strasburg, if you remember everybody remembers 2 years ago when he didn't pitch in the postseason because they shut him down. This is his first postseason, so we'll see how he handles that. But he lights out usually. We all know that. And they can pitch. Their closer out of the pen is excellent now that they've gotten rid of Rafael Soriano. So that's good. Their lineup, top to bottom. I mean, as a diehard Met fan that I am, I have seen the Nationals a lot, and they just murder the Mets. I think they were 13-5 against the Mets this year.
Wow.
And the Mets, going into the last series, before the last 3-game series, the Mets were 0 for 13 games for someone who was not Gio Gonzalez. So they won 3 games, and they were all Gio Gonzalez games. And the other 4 pitchers just blow the Mets away, and the offense just kills them. I mean, Jason Worth, who everyone forgets about, can rake. You got Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon, Ryan Zimmerman, who they can't even find a spot for. They can't even find a place to play him.
Wow.
That's Drew Cabrera, Adam LaRoche. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, indeed, man.
They're set up.
And they're going to be set up. I mean, I think it wouldn't have made any difference who advanced from tonight's game. This is going to be an overwhelming advantage. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. And the one reason I don't think it's going to happen is because Matt Williams, not a fan. I think he's a bit of a Mongo. But let's assume the Giants win out this game. They're up 7-0. 7-0.
7-zip. Yeah.
I think they're going to win. But you're talking about.
Now I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a Giants fan hearing that now.
Have we opened the door? We will see. Anyway, let's say that they do advance in theoretical terms. Bruce Bochy is simply one of the best postseason managers of our generation. He is so good at getting the right move at the right time. That will serve him well. The only problem is he doesn't have enough pitching, and I think that's going to be the basic problem here. They've had a nice lineup, but it's going to really take a lot. I will say that the Giants have a very good bullpen. You talk about Casilla, Jeremy Affeldt, and then Sergio Romo, not Tony, closing it up for the San Francisco Giants. They've got a lot of postseason experience, 2 World Series under their belt. They certainly are no stranger to October. This will be a very fun one to watch, but I think I'm going to pick the Nationals. How would you see it?
I would pick the Nationals too. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, but San Francisco is at a big disadvantage because Bumgarner just pitched today.
Yeah.
So
great point.
Series starts on Friday, and Bumgarner can't pitch until what? Game 3? I haven't counted the math, but he's not pitching on Friday, and he's not pitching on Saturday, and the next game's on Monday, so he'll probably pitch that one. I guess if that math is right. Maybe not until Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he pitched today. So they don't have their best pitcher going in, whereas the Nationals, it doesn't even matter who they pitch because everybody's their best pitcher. And I'm gonna pick the Nationals.
Right, and the counter is the Giants are gonna send out after Bumgarner. You have let me just go to the chart here. I mean, you got Hudson, Vogelsong, and then it's something, but maybe a tie between Peavy and Lincecum. I mean, this is it's on paper, it just does not work out for the Giants, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, final series. We only have about 5 minutes. This is the big one. Cardinals Dodgers. I mean, it doesn't really get any better than this. And it's interesting. I noticed. I know that Michael Wacha was out for most of the year, but it looks like he is going to come back, but in a limited role out of the pen. And that's really too bad. If he was able to start, that would really make that series that much closer. But it's already a pretty close series. I mean, Wainwright, Lynn, and then the seasoned John Lackey going against Kershaw, Greinke. We'll see about Ryu. We believe that the reports say that he'll be healthy enough to pitch. His bullpen session went well today, we're told. We'll see. And then Herron will be the other guy in the rotations. These rotations both are really good. And then the lineups, well, can't really speak to the Cardinals so much, but the Dodgers lineup, you don't have an easy out until the pitcher spot. I mean, even AJ Ellis at the 8th spot, really good. And so it's worked out well, and they're hitting all at the right time. They can sometimes go hot and cold, but they seem to be hitting their stride right now. It's going to be a good series, though. I don't think it's going to be like a sweep or anything. I think this is going to go the whole 5. Let me get your thoughts about Cardinals-Dodgers.
Yeah, the Cardinals, you can never count out the Cardinals. And, they're in it every year. The first game is Kershaw and Wainwright, which is just going to be amazing.
Oh, so good.
That's the East Coast primetime game on Friday at 6:30 Eastern. Kershaw and Wainwright, that's going to be amazing. And you'll probably see it again in the 4th game if there's a 4th game. But beyond that, yeah, I agree with you about the Dodger lineup. It's very well balanced. Hanley Ramirez is a little shaky because he gets hurt a lot. Also his defense is kind of shaky. I think the Dodgers. I think Don Mattingly takes them out of the game when they're ahead for defense. But yeah, their lineup, at least they're at the beginning of the game, is very well balanced. The Cardinals, Matt Holliday, kind of, Matt Holliday, but he's getting old. They have Yadier Molina, who always turns it on in the postseason, even though he's been hurt this year. I'd probably pick the Dodgers, but you can't count the Cardinals out.
You can't. You really can't. And I'm not going to be the kind of guy that says, "Oh, this is Dodgers totally have this." They don't. And the Cardinals have been at the October time and time again. It's going to go 5 games. I just see it. No, I don't really see it playing out any differently. And the Cardinals bullpen is just so much better than the Dodgers. Except I will say this: in the closer spot, Kenley Jansen is as good a closer as there is in baseball. He's very good. I mean, you pretty much get him up there, and very rarely does he blow the game. He'll do it like 3 or 4 times a year, maybe 6 times a year at the most. But he's really had a great season. So this is just going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it.
It's going to be good.
Oh, it's going to be good.
It's going to be pretty good. The Dodger bullpen, outside of the closer, though, a little bit shaky.
Oh,
Brian
gosh,
Wilson, your favorite guy, is might be pitching in some big spots.
Oh, Brian Wilson coming out of the pen in the 8th. That's going to be so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you got to worry in that 3rd game with Ryu, right?
Right.
Oh, he hasn't pitched, so
we don't even know if he's going to pitch.
You might have to go in that bullpen early.
Oh my God!
And if he does pitch, you don't know what he could. You don't know how long he could last because he hasn't pitched in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama there for Game 3, and that's in St. Louis too. That's the other half of it. My goodness. So, but it'll be fun though. It'll be fun to watch it and track it. It'll be good stuff. So, that is it for tonight. All right, this is
4 games this Friday. 4 games this Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be a great Friday. So enjoy the games, Ari. I really thank you for coming on with us tonight, and your expertise is most appreciated. We'll keep in touch. Enjoy October. It's going to be a good time.
You too, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. Ari in Philadelphia. That's our MLB preview spot. And away he goes, ready to check out all the action. And that gives way to our Kids Club podcast picks for week number 5. And we go into week 5 with a little bit of a rough week 4 leading into it, meaning that nobody won a game in their college picks, and that's not their fault. It was just a very crazy week. But some games in themselves were not necessarily the greatest, but there were some good matchups in there. I mean, for example, Arkansas versus Texas A&M, that was really great. People did a little better in the NFL picks. But the end result of all of it is Oat Man going 1-2-1, with the one being the Baylor-Iowa State game, which was a push. And that was enough to get him in the first place at 8-7-1. John is in Connecticut's in second place at 8-8. Ron is third, 7-8-1. And Andy's still in striking range at 6-10. So let's go ahead and start our spot. We start by introducing our panelists. Tonight right now we have John and Andy. Ron will not be joining us. I think the Oat Man will be, so stay tuned. We'll start with John first. John, welcome to the show. How's it going tonight?
Thanks for having me back, Dave. I was thinking maybe instead of giving picks tonight, we'd all reminisce about our favorite Derek Jeter memories, but it's up to you.
Derek Jeter. Oh man, well, can we have Ernie Johnson narrate it? That would be put us to sleep.
Oh man, he's awful.
Oh, is he ever? Oh my. Just quickly, let me introduce also Andy in Seattle. Thank you very much for joining us again in back-to-back weeks. How's it going tonight, Andy?
Good. I'm thinking in lieu of the college pigskin talk, we can just keep going with the baseball. I'm juiced up for the playoffs. I mean, St. Louis and LA, it seems like they meet every single year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then I think 30 years from now, if you think about these kinds of things, that we're going to talk about the drought of 14. I mean, I'm just looking at the Cardinals' stats right now because, I have rotating stats just in front of my TV because I can't get enough baseball. And just their power numbers. Their second leader in the RBI category, I know advanced stats guys don't care about RBI, but anyway, it's Johnny Peralta. And third guy is Adams, fourth guy Carpenter with 59. I mean, it's just it's a power drought this year. I kind of dig it because it inflates this pitching category, but, the days of guys, multiple guys on teams hitting 40 dongs, even 30 dongs are a thing of yesteryear.
Yeah, it's and I kind of like it though. I kind of been digging this because it makes the games closer. You have to do more strategy. It's really a lot of fun. I should pass a programming note to all of you guys tonight. Chuckman is running late. His car got stranded in the middle of the rain or something like that. So we actually have some extra time to. My gosh, this is rough. But Chuckman's trying to get home, and he's still kind of stuck in traction. So we probably have about 10 to 15 extra minutes tonight. So. Let's talk. If you want to, we can talk a little bit of baseball. Let me just introduce the Oat Man first. The Oat Man has joined us. Say hello to Otis. You know him from his recent Twitter battle with Carl Banks. Oat Man, welcome back. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, Dave. Who knew if you didn't like to listen to a radio program, you'd become public enemy number 1 on Twitter of a former Giant great. It's pretty crazy.
It's really something. Oh my goodness, how sensitive is this guy? I mean, it just was epic to watch you guys going back at it. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I was trying to, keep it civilized, but I could only imagine if you got into it with some of our anti-Mike friends who were telling him to, I don't know, they would step on his puppy or something. All I told the guy was that I wasn't going to listen to his radio show, and he's telling me to go finger paint and take my medicine. I mean, you got to have a little tougher skin than that. I mean, I know Geno Smith was throwing up the double birds to the fans the other day, telling them to go father themselves. But Carl Banks, maybe you should calm down a little bit.
Oh, seriously? I mean, you don't even have to use his Twitter handle for him to get his attention. I just got 2 tweets tonight. I swear to God, I just got 2 tweets from him, unprovoked, about this HSN show that he's plugging, where he's selling NFL merchandise.
I'm sure they're selling like hotcakes too.
30K sold less than 24 hours, Joe Oat Man. Did you get yours? Oh my gosh. That you can't make it up. You really can't make it. Oh my God. That is crazy. But let's go back to John for a second while I try to calm down here. A game last night. If we stay with baseball just for a second. That game last night was really one of the most exciting baseball games I have seen in a really long time. And I've been watching baseball regularly, pretty much forever. But what a game. I mean, the A's and the Royals, and who would have guessed that 2 small market teams would have captured America like that? But seriously, it was fantastic. I mean, what were your favorite parts of watching that whole game last night, John?
Well, man, just the whole the whole last couple of innings was pretty dramatic. When the way the A's played, it was kind of a microcosm of the season. They got up, 3 or 4 runs there, and then they completely collapsed on 2 separate occasions. First, when they were up 7-3, then 8-7 in the, I believe in the, what was it, the 12th or the 13th inning. And you have to feel for, Billy Dean and his money ball once again sticks the bit in the playoffs. But I think the first part of the game was tweeting Ernie Johnson calls, about his fourth game. He pretty much would, it'd be the most dramatic ending ever, and he'd be like, "Oh well, and that's the game. Good night, folks. We'll see you next time." Because, I mean, there could have been a bomb in the stadium, and he would have just reacted like, "Oh, okay, oh well," it was just awful. And Woodson wasn't much better. I think he said 3 words the whole night. Ron Darling was okay, but that was just a brutal broadcast.
Yeah.
We used to have the guy with the Red Sox on there. I forget his name, but he always did a good job. But I have no idea what they were thinking with Ernie Johnson. And the worst thing is we got him again for the ALDS and ALCS. So many more fun moments ahead.
That's crazy. Andy, you would know who the Red Sox guy is, right? It's like Don Orsillo.
Don Orsillo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Good deal. Andy, your thoughts about last night's game? It definitely had everybody on the edge of their seats here. What was it like? What were your favorite moments from last night?
Honestly, how PBS has showed up into 3 different segments. Like, there's one on the Roosevelt that had like 4 episodes, and World War II. You could actually do this with that last night's game. You could spend like 3 90-minute segments talking about the game. Innings 1 through 3, innings 4 through 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and maybe even a 4th for the extra innings. That's how dramatic it was.
Wow. Yeah.
And I don't know, you can pick any angle, and there's many layers like an onion. It's actually, not to sound contrarian, but I can't kill Bean for making the trade he made in July. Largely based on the fact that last year in the playoffs, he had Cologne as his game 1 start. I know Cologne he's good for 100, and he won 15. In these short playoff series, I don't think Cologne is like an intimidation lineup. So he got Lester the Molester, and he got Smarja, and it's easy to laugh that he got this guy from the Cubs that didn't get to pitch in the postseason in exchange for this prospect. But his other formula, where just make it to the playoffs and see what happens, Higo and Hudson and Mulder left. Those guys winning all these games for Oakland were still just kind of flash in the pan or smoke and mirrors pitchers. So he decided to get some real stud starting pitching, and same old ending for Oakland. It's amazing.
It is. I mean, the consistency in losing these winner-take-all games for the Oakland A's, it's really almost a little depressing. I really kind of almost wonder what it's like being an A's fan, going through that all the time. So Oat Man was was joining into the telecast a little later into the night, and I tell you, I mean, that's the sign of a great game where you get people coming in and tuning in. It's like, oh wow, this is a great game. Let's check it out. So tell me what was your feel for this game, and maybe a little bit about Yost, because again, I mean, I think all of us are familiar with Yost. I mean, the two of us would be as an NL guys. He got ripped a lot when he was in Milwaukee too. Your thoughts about last night's game, and is Yost as bad as Pedro Martinez said on the telecast last night?
Yeah, Pedro really went off on him, which was it was interesting listening to it, because at some points I didn't know where he was going to go, whether he was going to kind of slowly slide away from the Grady Little type tweaks that he could throw in there, but he really just went for it. All the bunting gets tiring, but I mean, if you look at it, it's the way the Royals have played all year. So why is he going to change what he's doing now just because everyone's watching? They've been a running team. They've been a get-em-over team all season. And I really don't see. I mean, as frustrating as it was to watch a buntathon, it's the way they've played. So the only real thing you can get on them for was that crazy, whatever that Billy Butler play was intended to be. I guess he was supposed to run a little bit after the pitch was thrown to try it. They were trying to steal that run. But I can't really get on him as much, just because you don't want to change your whole system as you go into the playoffs. I mean, I'm sure he was feeling it a little bit there when they couldn't get that run in from third, but it eventually worked out. You gotta play the way you've been playing. My takeaway from the game, really, kind of outside of the way it was played, was just the atmosphere in Kansas City with that crowd. It's always great when you get one of those crowds that's just desperate to win, just desperate for some playoff action. You don't have to see the same crowds now in Boston or in New York now when you have all the girls in their pink Yankee hats or pink Red Sox hats. You have like real fans who are dying for a win, and you could see the looks on their faces. And of course, the cameras are going to pan to them when they're down by a run, and everyone's got their heads in their hands. But it's always good to see the crowds that are just begging when they're able to get one. Just there's nothing like, I mean, that's sports. That's sports, Susan. It's just great. It was great to watch.
It was just incredible drama. I mean, the storyline of Kansas, absolutely nothing for 3 decades, and then seeing this is just great. I mean, I just didn't want it to end. That was sort of my feeling throughout most of the innings. From like the 7th inning on, it's like I didn't want this to end so fast for Kansas City. This is such an incredible ride. I wouldn't even throw Pittsburgh in the same category because they won there. They had the same thing last year basically, but for Kansas City, it's even an extra decade on top of that, being out of the playoffs. It really was awesome. I'm just so happy for the city today, and best of luck to them against the Angels. Although you probably heard earlier, I'm not giving it much of a shot. Let's talk a little bit about the division series very quickly, and then we'll get to picks, because we have a huge college football schedule too. I mean, this whole weekend's going to be great. John, you're first. Tell us a little bit. I don't know if we do each series one by one, but what are your favorite division series to watch for the weekend? Any that stand out to you?
I think they're all going to be pretty competitive. I mean, I don't think you can look at any of the matchups and say, this is really going to be a sweep, although I think the Angels might be the Royals might be a little out in Anaheim. I agree with you there, Dave. But the rest of them should be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that and Orioles. There'll be a lot of runs scored in that one. And just seems like close games, 5-game series. That should be a pretty good series. I mean, I would have an idea. Yes, if they show the Royals game, there should be a camera inside the farm to see Mama C's reaction.
Dead right, man. That's gotta happen. Andy, your favorite. What are your favorite most forward to this weekend with these division series? Which series are going to stand out to you?
I don't really know. Probably Dodgers Cardinals, to be honest with you. I definitely see where John's coming from with offense and the Tigers and the Orioles. I mean, maybe Washington has just as good of offense as those other two teams, but I really couldn't tell you much about the Orioles starting pitching. I wouldn't take them super serious in the playoffs. I mean, I think Tillman is like one of their best pitchers, and I don't know, their bullpen or their starting pitching I think has a little bit to be desired. And the Tigers are feast and famine team. Some really good starting pitching. When they got Price, basically we'll see Oakland and Detroit in the ALCS if it was a foregone conclusion, and then they kind of tailspinned a bit. So that's probably my second favorite series to look forward to. Actually, I don't really have a first one. I just want to see the Dodgers starting pitching do well, because postseason pitching gets everyone pretty excited, and I think they have the best 1-2 combination by far, and then Ryu will be their wild card. It's their bullpen that worries you. The bridge from the starting pitching to Jansen will give you anxiety.
Yeah, for here, there really isn't. Yeah, it's always a picnic when you're going through there. It's crazy. I mean, every time it's just like, it doesn't really matter who it is. It's just, you're always holding your breath when you get to the middle of the bullpen guys. So let's go to Oat Man for his response to favorite division series of the weekend, and there were many. I mean, they're all pretty good. Any that stand out to you?
Yeah, I probably agree with Andy with the Dodgers Cardinals series. I've never been a big Cardinals fan. Hated their previous manager. Kind of flows on into this team. So I'll be looking towards that pitching matchup you were talking earlier with Ari. That Wainwright Kershaw matchup is going to be some game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, it'll probably go like 7-4, but you would think that's a pitcher's duel Friday. I think that should be a really good series. I think the Nationals, and I know you had mentioned this earlier from Olbermann, I think the Nationals really are going to take their series quickly against the winner of this game tonight. That lineup is deep. The pitching staff is really strong top to bottom. The only slight problem with that team is, I would say, the back end of the bullpen has to worry you a little bit with Soriano back there doing his histrionics with his untucks and whatnot. But yeah, I think the rest of the series, they should go down to the wire. I know that KC is probably not as strong a team, but you never know. You never know what's written in the stars.
Yeah.
So maybe KC can get it going a little bit.
A million miles away. I like it. Oh boy, get ready for that again. Should be a fun time. It's interesting that the broadcast coverage of these division series is a little more split up this year. Go to the NL side, and the AL side will be on TBS. That is probably a win for the fans, because the Fox series will be covered by some competent broadcasters this time. That's good news. Now let's go to enjoy. This will be guys, hope you all enjoy those games. I hope to.
Over in LSU, just because I love watching that Auburn team and how Gus Malzahn called plays, and to see them roll up against the LSU defense. That's the type of game that I'm most looking forward to out of all those. Michigan State and Nebraska is pretty interesting too. The Nebraska running back Abdul was a Heisman contender, so we'll see what he can do against the Michigan State defense. All in all, though, really a first tremendous week of college football. So was a good day to kind of hang out on the couch and doing some hypothetical Warriors.
Yeah, it's definitely that. And there are a couple of the games I'll add to that, in addition to the ranked teams facing each other. Arizona and Oregon tomorrow, I am very interested in. You've seen a new Solomon throw very well this season so far. The only issue is the defense just does not match their offense, and that is where you could end up having problems. But at least in the beginning, could be a match. Another game I like a lot, but maybe this is more of a personal bias. And Kovici and Arizona State battle the UCLA Bruins. I feel like they're going to play better than SC, but SC's going to want their head after last year, the way they got beat. Maybe. Game was the final straw that got Lane Kiffin fired a year ago at Tempe. We'll see. Should be fun. So my locals go to Andy. What are your favorite guys?
Well, I can't really single one out. They're all good. They're my babies. College pitching games.
I dig it.
Single one out. But no, it's a great weekend. I would say more than 80% of Division I teams have played a third of their schedule. I guess it's a pivot point of the weekend. Apparently, all these SEC schools. I think John alluded to it. Have dreams of winning national championship, and now you're going to separate some pretenders with contenders. But you see, like, one last team still respect from the media. But yeah, I would talk about that Alabama game and the Oregon game later.
Okay.
Because those are when we do the actual picks. And then, yeah, I'll be curious to see what all those SEC schools do. I think LSU's having a down year. So, Auburn's entertaining. I think Gus runs a really good offense, so it's entertaining to watch. And, it's always fun to see Notre Dame on prime time. It's not like they're never on or anything like that. So, but they're undefeated, and I think it's a Jekyll and Hyde schedule. So they have to play all those ACC schools, some pastries there, but they actually have a pretty formidable schedule this year. So we'll see how the Irish Magic keeps going as we get later into the season.
I think the Irish man depend. Well, I'm not gonna say this. I don't want to mess up. My Oat Man is a follower of the Irish. I will not say that. So, but let's go to the Oat Man.
Say it.
I was just
Say it.
I was just gonna say that they were gonna have a pretty good season. That was it. Nothing more. I didn't think they were gonna. I felt pretty good about them being competitive, and we'll see where it goes from there. It should be an interesting year. So, oh man, your favorite matchups of the weekend in college?
Well, anything. So I might as well stick with this one here with the Notre Dame Stanford game. That's going to be obviously the one I pay attention to a little bit more. Wouldn't call myself a diehard Notre Dame, but I was actually at the Notre Dame Syracuse game at MetLife this past weekend, and it was also in prime time, shockingly. And being in that stadium, it was probably one of the most boring sporting events I've ever been to.
Really?
There was just so much time being spent just waiting for them to come out of commercials. It was unbelievable how much time was spent. The game itself had some early offensive action. Colson had a deep touchdown throw. But it was through the second half, and that was Syracuse team. I don't know. Left a little to be desired. So they had to step up in competition against Stanford. I mentioned earlier that I was talking to someone earlier that go fit a bit of Geno Smith in him before, and then he'll throw a pick six for no reason in the fourth quarter when you're up by, I don't know, they were up by 2 touchdowns or something at that point. So he does make some dumb plays, but he also has the ability to make one of those game-changing plays with the legs or the arm. So
I think he would regret losing the beast.
I think so. It's interesting because they really could win anyway. They don't play Oregon this year. I don't, and they already had considered again, like you said, that should have won that game. That I think they just simply weren't prepared.